Hello and welcome to today's Lunch and Learn. I'm Becca and I'm going to be hosting this Lunch and Learn today for Virtual Coffee. We are very happy to be here today. Our mission is to be a welcoming tech community that allows room for growth and mentorship at all levels and to create meaningful opportunities for learning, leadership, and contribution for everyone. To find our code of conduct, events, or learn more, you can check out our site, virtualcoffee.io. We are very, very excited to have you all here with us today. And I especially want to thank our presenter, Jörn, who in 2018 founded his second company, compose.us, where they implement digital solutions and share their knowledge with public administrations. In his spare time, he hangs out at Virtual Coffee, of course, organizes local meetups in Germany, and creates at least one open source commit per day to push to his side projects. And we are very excited for him to be talking with us today. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Jörn.
Okay, hello everyone. Thanks for the introduction. Happy to be here. And we are going to continue what we have started in the last session. So if you don't know what this is about, we had a small thing going on here where we created a real, a small repository on GitHub. And we created a little bit of a HTML page in here where we could actually just show that we update something in our thing here. And then, so basically we had this HTML template. We updated this through a script when it was deploying. And that way is basically like the entry point into having some dynamic content on static pages. And yeah, I want to continue with this project actually. And there's lots of stuff that I want to go through. I asked some people before whether I should use GitHub to host the more or less dynamic content or Airtable. Airtable won this secret vote. So we are going to use that. And let's set something up together and see whether that works. I need to jump a little bit around on the screens. And I'll just use a new thing. So let's I'll really completely do a completely new workspace and hope I'm not running into some limits because of having created too many. So I'll call it lunch and learn. Let's not use spaces. You never know what happens when you do that. Let's call it lunch and learn over here today. And we create our first database. It's a bit bigger. So basically, I want to create a little blog with you. So let's start with articles. And we will have another table of authors. And let's see how we get there. So basically in Airtable, you have the possibility to put anything in these tables over here, and you can link the different tables with each other. So as far as I know, Virtual Coffee is using Airtable for many things, right, Becca?
Quite a bit of things. We use Airtable all the time.
Okay, so then it's good. We can probably have a little bit over here. Let's rename this to database just to make sure that this view is later called the database itself. you can actually have other views here to make your data just in different ways, so that you have everything that you put into your Airtable in different ways. You can use Airtable for anything that you would otherwise do with Excel, I suppose. So it's not really completely for the use case that we are currently trying to do. So let's create some more things. We will have a body, which is a long text. We can enable some rich text formatting in there. We don't have an assignee, which is a user field usually, but we have an author, which should link to the authors table. And I will go with just one author for now. Let's see. We can also add some lookup fields, but this is, in our case, not really necessary. I will do that now just so you can quickly see that. And yeah, so another thing that I wanted to do is a status. So each of our blog articles will have a title, a description, an author, and a status. The status is like this draft to-do thing, like just an idea. We will not going to use that. I'll use an in progress thing for draft, and there will be a done thing, done status to say, okay, this blog post is actually published. So let's create the first one. First blog post. We can create another blog post, second blog post, or let's call it the draft post. And yeah, an idea that we maybe at some point use, maybe not, who knows. This is going to be a draft. This is going to be done. We can right now, since we do not call that, or we do not get that from the database yet, we don't really need to care about these status here right now. But in the future, we will use that status to collect which ones we will show up on the page and which ones we are not showing. So just that you have like the basic idea why we are going to use this thing. So this is a thing that has headlines and paragraphs and maybe some bold text. And let's do that. And another body for another post. Both of them will be done by me, I suppose. Does anybody else want to write a blog post? Just now, I'll put him back over here. Maybe Travis, because I see him as thing here. We may have a bio or something to let other people know what we are about, but let's see whether we get to that at all. We don't need any status or other things, but we can see already that there's this articles shared with the authors already. So let's go back to the articles. I will be the author of the first one, and I will use you, Becca, for the second one, for the draft one. Maybe Travis for the last one, which is just the idea. You can see that it connects, and yeah, this is, in the end, we can collect all the data from these tables here and put them into a JSON file for us, and we will use that JSON file to construct our whole page, which is in the end a static page, but with this here basically as the dynamic content. So that's the whole idea of everything. If you have any questions, please jump in and say something. Otherwise, I will just continue to set the stuff up. I don't see anybody raising
I
the
don't see
hand.
any questions.
Okay, good. Then let's continue. So we want to do that over here. And I need to take a look at my notes, and my notes are in a VS Code that you can't see right now. But in that VS Code that I have open over here on my other screen, it tells me what I need to do next. And yeah, so basically I need to set up some the API keys for Airtable. So let's do that first. So right now, this is me having my personal account and using that, but I actually just want another account in here which has just the ability to read the records, so that nobody else can really use that for other things than just reading the data that we have in here. You usually don't want to let anybody see the to-dos or in progress stuff, so you try to hide this as well. So this shouldn't be run by other people who don't have access to that. So we will later put that in a secret in GitHub, so nobody should be able to see that or use that somewhere else. And let's see how that goes. I have this one here, for example, which is just another account. And I'll invite that person. And I need to get that invite. So you will basically get some email for this invite. Now I need to open that thing, not in this browser, but actually in an incognito window. So I'll just use that. And I will get access to this database. Okay, great. So I can see stuff. I can't change it with this account. I can only see these views, and that's about it. That's all we need to make sure, so that we can basically use that person's API key. And I'll show you where to find that API key, which is in the account. And there is this field. When you click on it, you will see it, and it will get in there. So what I'm going to do is just take the one that this one which I already have used in here, because these accounts here, they are for all the access everywhere. So if you give access to an account, this account will be able, with this API key, will be able to access all the stuff that it has something to it, that it is connected to. So I would advise you to not to not reuse these accounts for different databases, just to make sure that when you lose some access somewhere, that you don't have this everywhere and have to reset all your other things as well. in order to not have other people be able to look into all your stuff. So this is what Airtable advises right now. I'm not sure whether they already changed the system a little bit, but well, this was what they had said. And so we have the API key. We got this from the account, and then there is this base key, and that the base ID of this Lunch and Learn thing here now. And we can find that when we go to the API documentation, because it's actually they have a quite nice they have a quite nice documentation around the tables that you set up, because it actually tells you in the documentation what tables you have. You can grab the data here with some code snippets that you can see over here. So basically, you have a lot of stuff that you can more or less copy and paste here from this. So, but we will need this base ID and the API key that I said before. And we are going to need to put that somewhere in our bash or Z shell or whatever as variables. And I will set this up right now by doing this in a .env file. So we basically need a key, the key that we have, and the base ID. The base ID we could get from there. And since the other thing is a little bit secret, I will not put that on stream, but I will do that on my other screen. And just I'll save it here, but I will change it, and I will put it on git ignore, so I'm not accidentally pushing that to Git. And okay, wait a second. So you have seen how it looks like. I hope that this worked out. And let me check this on my other screen. Just okay, works. So in the env file right now, there's the key and the base setup, as you've seen it before, and it should work. Let's see whether this is still true later. Okay. Let me. I'll try to make commits in all of these steps, but this is also a little bit like a documentation later, hopefully to get back to this. So now Airtable, we could basically use what we have seen here in the in this here, and just use curl to grab the data and get these things. But I would prefer to use JavaScript now. They provide us this little script this Airtable module in order to access Airtable itself. So we are going to set this up, and I see that I need to be a little bit more quick. So usually I put all my stuff in in Docker and do everything inside of Docker. But for this Lunch and Learn, I've actually created or downloaded Node and use Node 18 here for this. See the chat something, but it's not a question, I hope. So let's see this. The next thing that I need to do is install Airtable. We can safely put that in our dev dependencies because we will use it only for the build time and not for the runtime thing. So we actually don't really have anything in the runtime at all because we will build a static page, and in the end, the static page includes everything that we need in order to show it. Okay, we don't need Node modules folders. In Git, we have added the Airtable thing now, and I will create a build script or an update database script first to download the stuff from Airtable. So I'll put that over here, and okay, let me look this up a little bit. So what we need to do, we need to import a couple of things. So basically setting up where we put everything is done with something that I have prepared. If I would do that, all of that here on stream, I think we will just lose a lot of time. So I'm going to copy and paste a couple of things and explain them in a minute. So basically, we will set up these env keys. We have set that up before. When we do the source.env, it should be exported now in our thing. So I think I can safely show the API base again, which is this. Okay, so the API key should be set as well. We can access environment variables through this process env. We can set the or we can find out the current DNAME of that script here by using this file URL to path. Use the import meta URL. Oh, and I'm using the ESM the ESM import style here for Node. So we need to add to the package JSON a type which is called module, so that we will have the ESM modules available here. I think this works since Node 18, but I'm not 100% sure. So anyways, this is VS Code. I like to just do something like this. And it will make sense in a second. What I'm currently doing here. So we don't have the async await available everywhere, and we're using some async functions usually. And I want to be able to write this await stuff. So I need to wrap all of that into an async function. And that's why we're just calling that function. And then when it runs through, we will just say it's done, everything's run and done, and we will process exit with the 0 exit code. If we encounter some error, we will just log it, and then we will say, okay, something broke, so we will exit with an with a non-zero exit code, just to be able to use that in scripts later. So this is basically my script boilerplate here for Node.js scripts. Okay, and now we have set up the Airtable stuff over here, but we need the a database directory. So I call it DB directory here, and I will create this with the make dir function from the regular node. From the regular node packages or the included node modules here. I have prettier setup, so I just formatted it. That's why it jumped around. And now we need to use the Airtable stuff actually. So I'm going to use Airtable. I've configured it before to use that API key. Now I can use this Airtable.base function to say, okay, get the base ID. The API, the base ID is actually this API base as a variable now, so I don't have to do that process env in here. Then I'll expect to have articles and authors, and I will get them from two promises. Promise all. And I will call these promises get authors base and get articles base. And since I set here articles and authors, I need to switch the order. Okay. And some functions to actually grab these. Grab this. So we will have the base, which is always the whole thing here. So I can select tables in here and then these views, and then I can get all the information that is in there. So let's start with the get articles. And I will basically just return something there from that base, and the API or the Airtable API actually, they created some stuff where they are some possibilities to use promises directly, but as far as I know, for when you have multiple pages, so that means a lot of entries in your blog or a lot of people that you want to show somewhere, you may get you may have to make multiple requests to get some pages, to get multiple pages, and there you don't have the promises available as far as I could see it. So I resorted to something else, and I will basically copy and paste this now, which is not so nice, but we would need to save a little bit of time. So for the articles, we actually use this this base that we have used that we have seen before. We say, okay, use the table articles. So this one. Then we select from a view the database view. We could have other views as well, but we are only interested in this view. And in there we have these fields: title, author name, body, and status right now. Actually, okay. So I actually use this author name, but we could also use the author and get the ID from that thing, for example, and just retrieve it from whatever we get here from their record. But okay, anyways, this is just a basic select from this table, and then we have this weird each page thing that they put in their documentation, and I'm using that to retrieve all the records that they have. We get some helper function from Airtable that says fetch the next page. So basically cursor to jump through the pages. And we can call that after we are done with this. We are going to add this, all we get from the records here, from this page, which consists of multiple things, but multiple of these entries here. We will use that information and put it on a long array of data. And we will always push like the old data and then get the next data. We could also use data.concat and then the rest instead of having this, but yeah, it's just something that I am used to do right now, and I don't think that it matters too much, but it could be some performance issue at some point for someone. But just to mention it, usually these things are done, or these optimizations can be done from the from the JavaScript implementation, the runtime implementation, and we shouldn't care about that. That's what the Chrome team told us in a meeting, in a meetup at Google at some point. So I will just go with this one because I find it okay to read. So the records are they are an array as well. So we flat map that array. That means we can either put something in there, or we can whenever we put something out here, we should receive that. And I'm wondering why I have used sitemap over here. Okay. Because usually it should have another array over here in order to get there, but it worked before. So let's see. We will see what happens. Could also try it with. Oh no, wait. If we would use map, that would result in an additional layer of stuff, I think. Anyways, let's see. Basically, what we are doing is we are creating objects, and we are adding these objects to this data array. But we are not doing that for each page in another array, but we will flat map all of that into like a very, very long single dimensional array where we have only these objects in here. These objects consist of the ID that is going to be some internal Airtable ID that we will that we may need to use later in order to go to a specific post or to go to a specific author page and do things like that. We have a title, we have the author name, we use the body, and we use the status to fetch all of this information. And if there is an error in this, or that each page, once it's done, we can basically say, okay, if there was an error, we will reject it. If there was no error, we can be sure that we can safely return the data, which is going to be this array that we built over here and which starts empty. So if there's nothing in the tables, we will get an empty array. Otherwise, we will have this. Yeah. So each page is basically not returning us an array and a promise. That's why we have this weird thing over here, and we have to use this extra promise over here. It may have changed in the meantime, but I didn't watch it too closely because this here is usually just written once, and then you can use it to update your stuff quite easily. So we have created the get articles now. We need to create the same with the get authors. So let's use the same thing here. Get authors. So I basically copied the whole function. I will change it to authors because that table is called authors. The view stays the same, it's database, but the stuff over here is changing. So we only have a name and we have a bio and nothing else. And let's see, name, bio, and we will have some ID over here. And that should be it to retrieve all that stuff. Now we have to write these two things that we get here into our database, which we also don't have yet. So let's create this. So the database directory that we've created, we will use that to write these two arrays here. So one with all the articles objects, one with all the authors objects. And we will do that with another promise.all. And we use, file. And that is going to go to the DB directory. So we should be able to say DB directory. Yeah. And then, how did I call it before? Okay, so just articles, JSON. And the content will be articles, but we cannot easily use that because that will result in like object, something like that. We need to stringify the JS object that we have there to make it a real JSON object here. We do the same for the authors. And I believe that's it. Check. Okay. Okay, that should work. We are going to create a small update DB script for that. And we will use Node. I just need to check whether I needed to add some flag. No, not with Node 18, not anymore. So we call it like that. And we should be able to npm run update DB. And let's hope for the best. Probably it's not going to work. Yeah. Okay. Unknown field name. Okay. That's probably me having used some weird thing. Let me check. Yeah. Okay. That's one thing that I forgot. Oh, that's just the reading thing. We need to go into the writing thing. So basically, that's why I always make all of these things lowercase, just to be consistent and not have to think of this anymore. So I forgot to change this to lowercase, and that's why it's wasn't showing. And I don't know why it takes that long. Okay, but it worked. Fine. So let's try it again. And it's done. So there is something over here. We can see articles. You can see there's an ID, there's a title, there's the author name, there's a body, which is Markdown in here, and a status. And same for the second one and third one. And I can format this so that you can see this a little bit more easily. So all the stuff that we have put in the Airtable over here is now here. Same for the authors. I can format this here as well to show that. Okay, we all don't have any bios put in there, so nothing to worry about. I'll run it once again, so I don't have the. I have this again, not formatted, just the way that it usually would be. And we are not going to put the database because it's going to be like this is generated content now, so we're not going to use that in our thing. Let me add downloader for a table. And okay, the next step. After having this, we need some way of actually using that data. So the next step that we would do is create some script that why is it? That we can use to build something. So I'm creating a new script here for building. I will use something over here to create this or to run this. Node scripts builds JS and to be able to call it later. And let me have a quick peek into what I have done there before. Okay, so basically what we had before here was this source index HTML stuff, and we have used a shell script to update this here through with some other information. So the general idea is basically still the same, and we're going to use that, but we will write it with JavaScript. Basically, we will have some kind of index page generator. Let's call it create index page, and that will return the HTML that we had over here. But we will do something else here. We will list all the blog posts that we will receive. And sorry, we will receive some posts over here. We will map over these posts, and each post is going to return an li with a post title. And let's see whether we can make this work. So again, what I'm going to do is this. My boilerplate. And now comes the interesting part. We are going to create a build directory. So we are going to recreate this here again. Build directory, and recursive true, just in case, because if we don't use recursive true, it may crash if it's already there, I think. And yeah, if some intermediate folders would be left out. Let's create the builds directory. Is going to be the same as we had before in the other file, like here, or very similar to that, basically. We can more or less copy that, but we will call the build year differently, and we don't need Airtable stuff. We will use write file later as well. And I put this directly under scripts, not scripts update DB. So it's going to be just one directory up. And the directory is called build. So let's see this one. We have that. Now after creating or recreating the build directory, we can put in the index file again and put some stuff in there. We are going to create the index page with the posts. Now this is interesting. Where do we get the posts from? Oops, that should be the right file. Where do we get the posts from? The posts I can import. And with a new cool feature from Node 18, we can actually get stuff from JSON files. So we are going to use the database, even though that we're not putting that in Git, we can still use it because we have generated it once. And now we can use the articles, but we need this import assertion, which is assert type JSON, in order to make Node.js understand, okay, I should use a JSON loader for this. And then you should have JavaScript objects in here, and we should be able to use that. Okay, let's just create the index page first. And we are going to remove the build directory just for now, npm run builds, so that we can see that the mk year works as well. There's done, that looks good, that looks good. There is an index file, and we can see, oh, nice, there are these things. Oh, there is some weird comma. Need to fix that. Which is
just wanted to do a quick time check. We've got about 5 minutes left here. So
okay.
Not sure how you want to finish up or.
So basically what I want to show you is you can take whatever you want from somewhere else, use that dynamic or use that as dynamic content, and put it in your statically generated page. So I will just continue a little bit on this one here, but you will have the possibility to you don't actually need to build this yourself, right? There are lots of things where you can which you can reuse, but the basic idea should be clear here. How to generalize this. So you can do things like this with SvelteKit, where you have all your sources over here. You import stuff from that database that you use, and use the static generator from the from SvelteKit, or you can use Create React App and create these things directly from there. So basically what you will not have this as a build script, but you can use these things in your source folder and just reuse these things over there. The only thing that you need to do beforehand is actually do something like this. And where I don't think that I will get you is the next thing, which is basically adding that stuff to the GitHub action, so that it does that, that it takes that, takes the dynamic content from somewhere else, creates this database folder, then runs the build script, and then publishes to GitHub pages. But this is the general idea, and it should be easy to do by adding this here. Basically npm run builds, or have npm run update db first, then npm run builds, and you will need these secrets. API table, API key. I think it's like this, and you need something like secrets dot whatever you call it in there. I usually use the same name as I use there. And this will, or I think it's called env in GitHub Actions. This will basically use this as environment variables, so that the update DB works, as we have seen over here before, where I had to do the source of the .env file for myself in order to get it here. But this is going to be in your environment variables, and then you should be able to do that. And yeah, that's, I hope I could convey the general idea. And yeah.
Yeah, this is all really fascinating. You had some positive comments there in the chat as well. I think we have one question. Reynald says, so overall, you write a git deploy hook that pulls the content from a database and converts it into a JSON file. Then the site code pulls from the static JSON file to display the data in the HTML.
Not quite. It actually builds a static page again. So you don't need to do that. You can, well, actually you can do both. You can, what I wanted to do is actually build it and have it over here. So basically this is what is going to GitHub pages. And there you see there is only this, and well, these two here shouldn't be there because I should actually filter them out. Filter post is status equals done. And if that's the case, then show that. So let's do it again. And you can see, okay, only the one that is done is over here, and you can only see this one. In here, in the whole database, this is something that you never show to the user, so they won't see that. And yeah, basically that's what I mean by creating the static page stuff in here, so that you don't have to yeah, give away your whole database actually. Does it make it clear? Yeah, yes. That would be it. So
Very
the
cool.
deploy script generates the HTML in here with the npm run build. Okay.
All right, so we're a little bit over, but I think this was really great and we learned a lot. So I know Sadie said in the chat that she'll definitely be doing a rewatch, and so will I. I'm going to go through step by step and try and keep up, but this was really, really great. Thanks, Jörn, for being here with us today. We are launching our 2022 Hacktoberfest initiative on Monday at 1 p.m. So maybe this sparks some ideas for something that you want to do or add to your project. You can still register for our support at hacktoberfest.virtualcoffee.io. So thank you again, Jörn. And if you all have any questions, please feel free to put those in the VC events channel, and we'll let you all know in the announcements when the video is up on YouTube. Have a good Friday.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Jörn. That was awesome.
Thank you.